devil has come to Pennsylvania.
This is everything you need to know from the Conjuring cinematic universe before watching Ed and Lorraine Warren's final case in The Conjuring Last Rites. Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush, I'm Colton Ogburn, and the Conjuring universe contains 9 interconnected films, all of which are coming to a head in the final installment of the Warrens' demon hunting journey. So we're going to explain every film in the Conjuring universe in chronological order and how they are all connected. The year is 1952, and beneath an abbey in Romania is a hole to hell. From the hole rose a demon called Valak, taking on the blasphemous appearance of a nun. Years prior, this rift to hell had been sealed with the blood of Christ. But following bombings during World War II, the rift was reopened, allowing for the demon to re-emerge. 2 nuns are attacked by the demon, and the surviving nun, Sister Victoria, escapes and hangs herself to prevent Valak from possessing her. Victoria's body is then found by a young man named Frenchie, who works for the abbey. The Vatican sends Father Burke with Sister Irene to Romania to investigate the incident. They meet with Frenchie and examine Victoria's body, where they find a key. Irene meets the other nuns and learns that they pray constantly in shifts to keep the dark entity at bay. But it is later revealed that Sister Victoria was the last nun of the abbey, and all of the nuns that Irene has encountered throughout the film were ghosts all along.
The nuns tried to warn me.
Visions.
They felt so real.
There's no one left.
Irene, Frenchie, and Father Burke retrieve a vial of Christ's blood, hoping to reseal the rift and trap Valak back in hell. The nun attempts to drown Irene, but Irene has stowed some of Christ's blood in her mouth and spits it in Valak's face. The rift is then sealed, and Valak is believed to have been cast back to hell, but no, the demon possessed Frenchie and would then go on to be part of an exorcism orchestrated by Ed and Lorraine Warren. And that was Ed and Lorraine's first encounter with Valak, but it wouldn't be their last. Four years later, Sister Irene is now serving in a convent in Italy, and Frenchie, also known as Maurice, now works at a boarding school in France, where he has befriended a young student named Sophie and her mother Kate, who is a teacher at the school. Back with Irene, we see her have a vision of Maurice asking her to save him. Irene is then sent to investigate a series of deaths across Europe that have been attributed to the demon Valak, with a young nun, Sister Deborah. We see Sophie bullied by classmates and locked in an abandoned chapel. Her bully then points out the goat on this stained glass window, claiming that the devil appears when the sun shines and turns the goat's eyes red. One night, the headmistress encounters a sleepwalking Maurice, and she is killed by Valak. We learn that Valak was an angel rejected by God. It is suggested that the demon is killing descendants of Saint Lucy, who in the past was martyred by the persecution of Christians by the Roman Empire. Her eyes were gouged out, but her family found them and buried them, and now Valak wants them. The eyes were last said to be stored in an old monastery turned winery, the winery which then became the present-day boarding school. Now, at the school, Irene and Deborah face off against a possessed Maurice. They use a flashlight to make the stained glass goat's eyes glow red. The red light acts as a laser that points them to where the eyes of Saint Lucy are buried. Irene then finds the relic, and the stained glass disappears from the window and reappears as a real goat. Valak then appears and lifts Irene in the air and sets her on fire, but Irene does not burn because she is a descendant of Saint Lucy and is able to harness the power of the relic. Irene and Deborah pray the words of institution as the old barrels of wine then turn into the blood of Christ, banishing the demon and freeing Maurice from his possession. Or so we thought. The next morning, Irene looks concerned as she watches Maurice walking with Sophie and Kate. Maurice, aka Frenchie, has been possessed.
It's Father Gordon! He says it's an emergency.
Yes, Father. How can we help?
A doll maker, Samuel Mullins, and his wife Esther grieve the loss of their daughter, Annabelle, who was killed when she accidentally stepped in front of a car. After her death, the couple prayed to see their daughter again, and a dark and evil force answered that prayer, or so they thought. The demon convinced the couple to transfer their daughter's spirit into one of their dolls, but little did they know they were actually attaching the demon to the doll. After realizing their mistake and being terrorized by the demonic entity, they got the help of a priest to bless the house, and they locked the doll in their late daughter's closet, wallpapered with Bible pages. 12 years later, the Mullins opened their home to Sister Charlotte and 6 girls left homeless by the closing of their orphanage. Sister Charlotte, by the way, who has unknowingly had an encounter with Valak the nun. Janice, who is disabled by polio, finds a note saying, "Find me," and she sneaks into the forbidden room where the Annabelle doll resides. There she finds a key to the closet where the doll is stowed away, and when she opens the door, it releases the demon, who is now on the hunt for a human host. After many deaths at the hand of the demon, it takes Janice as its host, making her now able to walk. The demon now lives within Janice and is in full control, and now calling herself Annabelle. Now, far away in Santa Monica, Annabelle is living as an orphan who is soon adopted by the Higgins. 12 years after that, a grown-up Annabelle murders her adoptive parents. Now, across the street, medical student John Form presents his pregnant wife Mia with a rare vintage porcelain doll as a gift for their first child. Yes, it's the same doll. Later that night, the couple is awoken by the sounds of their next-door neighbors, the Higgins, being murdered by Annabelle. Mia and John are then also attacked by these same killers. The police arrive and shoot one of them dead, while Annabelle Higgins slits her own throat inside of the nursery while holding the doll. Annabelle's blood falls on the doll's right eye, transferring the demon back into the doll. Mia later gives birth to a healthy baby girl, Leia. The family moves to an apartment in Pasadena following paranormal activities occurring in their home after they were attacked by Annabelle. After moving, they later find that same porcelain doll in one of their moving boxes despite having thrown it away. Mia and John contact their priest, Father Perez, who explains that demons sometimes attach themselves to inanimate objects. Unable to exorcise the demon, Father Perez takes the doll and seeks help from the Warrens. But before he can enter the church, the demon attacks him and takes the doll. Father Perez is hospitalized, and when John visits him, the priest warns him that the demon's intention is to claim Mia's soul. The demon then impersonates Father Perez to sneak into the apartment to take Mia's soul. Mia attempts to jump out of the window with the doll to save her daughter, but John and Evelyn arrive in time to stop her. Evelyn decides to take her life in Mia's place instead as an atonement for causing a car accident that killed her daughter years prior. The demon and the doll disappear, and Mia and John never see Annabelle again. 6 months later, Annabelle is found in an antique shop and purchased as a gift. Now, following Annabelle terrorizing her new owners from the antique store, Ed and Lorraine Warren are on the case and they take the Annabelle doll. Annabelle is then locked away in a glass case in the Warrens' artifact room, which is blessed by a priest twice a month. In 1971, the Perrin family move into a farmhouse with their daughters Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April. When they arrive, their dog Sadie refuses to enter the house and is sensing something sinister within. The family then discovers a boarded-up cellar beneath the house, and crazy things start happening. Each night, every clock in the house stops at 3:07 a.m. Carolyn wakes up with bruises and their dog is found dead in the yard. And then Carolyn and Christine both come face to face with an evil spirit. We see Carolyn reach out to the Warrens for help, and they conduct an investigation, during which Lorraine sees that a dark entity has latched itself onto the family, meaning that even if the family were to leave the house, the demon would follow. The Warrens determine that they need to gather evidence to provide to the Catholic Church for permission to conduct an exorcism. They place cameras and bells around the house with the help of their assistant Drew Thomas and police officer Brad Hamilton. We learn that the house once belonged to an accused witch and Satanist who sacrificed her week-old baby to the devil and killed herself in 1863 at 3:07 in the morning after cursing all who took her land. Ever since then, there have been reports of numerous murders and suicides throughout the years in the various houses that were built on her land. We then see Carolyn possessed, and the demon intends to make her kill her daughters. The Warrens determined that they have enough evidence to get authorization from the Catholic Church to perform an exorcism, but Father Gordon explains that approval would have to come directly from the Vatican because the Perrin family are not members of the church. Running out of time, Ed, Lorraine, and Brad tie Carolyn to the chair, and Ed attempts to do the exorcism himself. Carolyn escapes and attempts to kill April, but Lorraine is able to pull Carolyn from her trance. Ed then completes the exorcism and sends sends the demon back to hell. Returning home, Ed adds the haunted music box from the Perrin home to their room of cursed artifacts that they have collected from past cases. And in that room, we also see, of course, Annabelle still behind glass. The Warrens welcome babysitter Mary Ellen into their home to watch over their daughter Judy while they travel overnight to investigate a case. Mary Ellen's friend Daniela shows up uninvited to the Warrens' home. She sneaks into their artifacts room and accidentally releases Annabelle. Annabelle then releases other spirits such as the ferryman, the bride, and the black shuck, who start wreaking havoc on the house. Mary Ellen's crush, Bob, arrives and he is attacked by the black shuck. Judy explains that they must lock Annabelle back in her case so that the other spirits can be contained and put at rest. We see Bob protect Judy from the black shuck while she retrieves Mary Ellen's asthma inhaler, and we see Daniela possessed by the bride. Mary Ellen and Judy then find Annabelle. We then see the ghost priest who has been watching over Judy guide them to the ferryman. They retrieve the key to the case, but struggle when the Feely Mealy board game attacks. Daniela recovers when Judy plays Ed's recorded footage of the bride's exorcism. Once Annabelle's placed back in her case and locked up, everything stops. Ed and Lorraine then return the next morning, and at Judy's birthday party, Daniela apologizes to Lorraine, who in return gives her a comforting message from her late father, and it was of course Daniela's grief for her late father that led her to enter that forbidden room in the first place. So, way back in 1673 Mexico, we see a young boy give his mother a necklace. She says that she will treasure the item forever. The boy then goes on a hike, and a while later he finds his mother drowning his brother in a stream. He runs away, but his mother catches him, and he is assumed to be drowned as well. 300 years later, in 1973 Los Angeles, caseworker Anna investigates the truancy of a client, Patricia Alvarez's 2 children. There she finds the 2 children locked behind a door. We then see Patricia attack Anna when she tries to open the door, and then she is taken away by the police. Patricia's sons, Carlos and Tomas, tell Anna to keep them in the room so that they are protected. Now, ignoring their warnings, she takes them out of the room and takes them to a shelter. There, Tomas sleepwalks and Carlos follows him until both boys see a woman in a white dress who attacks them. The boys are found drowned in a river, and Anna is called to the scene. She brings her own children, Chris and Sam, and they stay in the car while she investigates. She hears Patricia screaming that it was Anna's fault for taking her sons and that Patricia had tried to stop La Llorona. Anna interviews Patricia, who is being accused of her son's murders, but she has an alibi for the time of their deaths. Patricia then reveals that in her hatred for Anna, she prayed to La Llorona to bring her boys back and to take Anna's children instead. Anna seeks help from Father Perez, and he tells Anna about a former priest, Rafael Olvera, who is now a folk shaman. Rafael arrives at Anna's house in the night, and La Llorona repeatedly attacks them and attempts to drown Anna and Sam in the pool. And we see Anna pull off La Llorona's necklace in a tussle. Patricia arrives with a gun and tries to give Anna's children over to La Llorona, but she soon realizes that she can't let another mother feel the same pain that she has felt, nor can she bring her children back to life, and she decides to release Anna so that she can save her boys. Anna then stabs La Llorona through the chest with a cross made from a fire tree, the trees that grew by the river where La Llorona drowned her children and were the only witnesses to her crimes. In 1976, the Warrens investigated the Amityville murders to determine if a demonic presence was responsible for Ronald Defoe Jr. killing his entire family, and then the subsequent haunting incident involving the Lutz family. During a seance, Lorraine is drawn into a vision where she encounters the nun and witnesses Ed being impaled.
This is as close to hell as I ever want to get.
1 year later, there's a family experiencing paranormal activities in their London home. Janet, the second oldest of the 4 children, sleepwalks and talks to the entity of an angry old man. The Warrens are then requested to prove whether or not Janet's demonic possession was a hoax. Lorraine then has another vision of the demonic nun in which the demon reveals its name, and Lorraine unknowingly scratches the name into her Bible. While staying at the family's home, Ed and Lorraine consult other paranormal investigators, including Maurice and Anita. Anita then presents video evidence of Janet wreaking havoc in the kitchen and not the demon.
So much for your leap of faith.
Now, Janet did this because the demon, who wants the Warrens to think that the family is lying, that demon threatened Janet with killing her entire family if she didn't wreck the kitchen to make it all look like a hoax. After being convinced it's a hoax, Ed and Lorraine leave, but on the train they discover that Bill Wilkins' spirit is a mere innocent ghost being used as a pawn by a demon. Valak, the nun, who the Warrens have unknowingly encountered before. The Warrens then rush back to the house and they find that Janet has been possessed and she is standing at the window about to jump. Ed rushes in and grabs Janet, but he is close to falling himself. We then see lightning strike the tree right outside the window, turning it into the same sharp stump that impaled Ed in Lorraine's vision. Lorraine then finds her Bible where she wrote the name of the demon, Valak. She then uses this information to cast the demon back to hell. Janet is then freed of her possession and Lorraine pulls her and Ed to safety. In 1981, Ed and Lorraine conduct the exorcism of an 8-year-old boy, David. Alongside them are David's parents, his older sister Debbie, her boyfriend Arnie, and Father Gordon. The exorcism isn't going well, so Arnie tells the demon to enter his body to spare David. Now, Ed witnesses this happen, the demon going inside Arnie. But before he can do anything about it, the demon causes Ed to suffer a heart attack. Ed wakes up in the hospital and warns of what he saw happen with Arnie and the demon, but it was too late. Arnie, after hallucinating a demonic entity attacking him, murders his landlord by stabbing him 22 times. His murder case then becomes the first American murder trial where demonic possession was claimed as a defense.
The court accepts the existence of God every time a witness swears to tell the truth. I think it's about time they accept the existence of the devil.
In the Warrens' investigation, they find a witch's totem in the family's home. A former priest, Kastner, who studied the disciples of the Rom cult, tells them that an occultist had intentionally left the totem, causing David's possession. A book of witchcraft states that for the curse to be lifted, the altar must be destroyed. We then see Ed taken over by the curse when a totem is discovered in the Warrens' home, and he almost stabs Lorraine. Kastner then reveals that the occultist is in fact his daughter Isla. He had secretly raised her in violation of the requirement for clerical celibacy in the Catholic Church. In his solitude with his daughter, he researched the occult, and Isla grew fascinated by it and became a follower. So Kastner leads Lorraine into the tunnels beneath the house where her altar resides. Isla then arrives and kills her father and curses Ed once again. Ed then chases Lorraine, but regains his senses when Lorraine reminds him of their love. And instead of killing Lorraine, Ed destroys the altar. Isla is then killed by the demon that she had summoned after failing to complete the curse.
You promised the demon a soul.
Ed puts the cup from the altar in their artifact room, and that leads us into the Warrens' final case in the Conjuring Last Rites. And that was everything you needed to know before watching the next installment. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified every time we upload a new video. For ScreenCrush, I'm Colton Ogburn.